Welcome back. It's the last lap of the program. Bolson joins me on in the studio again. We're still taking a look at this MPC decisions. Of course, Bolson, interesting perspectives there from Bismarck, going forward. Now, looking at it in the context of how he's actually put it forward, with regards how the markets and how Nigerians in general should be behaving right now at this time, and looking at oil prices fluctuating, we're seeing the queues back on the road. Of course, a few marketers don't want promissory notes. They want to be paid. But from what he said and where we're standing at the moment, less than 48 or 72 hours to the elections, what are your thoughts?
I think Bismarck has the numbers, as it were. I agree with him with the first. Let's start with the market recovery. Yes, I think the market will recover well after the elections, when some of the heat from the political circuit has blown out of the system. Between the handover May 29 to July, when he says he, based on some analysis from FDC, that is company, that they see some market recovery. I agree with that. Don't forget, the market will have to make some money before the end of the year, regardless of how much bleeding, the bloodletting that the political folks have wrought on the market. And don't forget, July, August, September is when you have, in the middle of the year, to make some money, take some positions, take strategies, because once it gets to October, you start getting to the end of the year, which is the final quarter of the year. So that will be something to watch out for. You talk about supplementary budget. I knew that the Kujiwela's budget will have, one way or the other, to be rejigged as soon as the new parliament or Congress settle into office in June. Even if you have the current administration, it's not going to be business as usual. A lot of things has changed since those numbers were put together in 2014 for 2015 fiscal year. So between January to date, a number of things have changed. A number of things will have to change moving forward. They will have to take that budget back to the drawing board and try to rethink it a little bit. So that will be some of the considerations for investors, portfolio investors, I mean, this time around, local and foreign, will look at how do they use the supplementary budget or a recast budget somehow to invest as a guidance for investing in the market. The business and the private sector would also need to look at that budget all over again to decide how to play the economy moving forward. If there's a full deregulation of petrol products prices, that will have to be considered by businesses as well. If there is a hike in electricity tariff, as promised by the NERC, the regulator, by June, that would also have to be considered. So a lot depends on what happens in Q2, as we talk about April, May, June. Then you have the market for July, August. But whatever happens, investors will price in this fiscal environment, petrol prices, electricity, what happens to gas, what happens to petrol importers, what happens to capital expenditure, and what you share among the three arms of government. All this will be considered post-May 20, after the elections, May 29, as to what to do with the stock market for from June for the middle of the year till the beginning of the final quarter, which is October. Don't forget, by September, the process of doing another budget for 2016 will have to start. Whoever gets into office as the new CEO with his team will have to do something very quick. We have to get down to business very quick, because there's no time. There's just about 6 months lag in between May 29 and September, October, when you have to start preparing for 2016 budget. So we're really in a very tight corner, as it were. Whoever gets in is not going to be business as usual. He has to get his team on ground very quickly. They need to hit the ground and running, because if they don't do that, the projections for Nigeria's economy to grow about 5.4%, 5.8% for 2015, 2016 will not likely be met. So you have to ramp up very quickly on tax to make sure that you have more money. Now, if you look at some of the figures coming out this morning, very quickly, from Securities Africa, says the government's revenue hit 711 billion in January. That was the data from the Central Bank of Nigeria, the economic report for January 2015. Now, if you look at these numbers, is 710 billion naira enough for 70 million people? I don't think that's enough for us to share. In fact, that is just about the figure that the states, federal, and local government share every month. So if you just give them this month, you just wipe out. It
just wipes out. But let me also quickly read through that. The increase from what Wilson just says, that the increase was related to receipts in the preceding month, and it was due to respective increase of about 3.9% and 6.2% in gross oil and non-oil revenue during the period, which is January 2015. And I totally agree with you, Wilson. At this particular point in time, the states really need to, look inwards and see how much they can generate instead of always waiting for all of this revenue that comes in from the federal government.
We need to rein in a lot of things, and one very quick thing, we also need to rein in our import appetite. We need to go for some slim fit, kind of. Yes, because we import so much. Our import wage bill is so much. See, we're standing at the threshold of $30 billion in foreign currency reserves. If we go anywhere near the $33 billion, we're in very serious jeopardy. And that has to be considered. Our wage bill for imports is still very, very high. Now, whether we're importing toothpick or cosmetics or nice shoes or ties, I know this is but
that's a very nice tie too.
Well, I don't know whether it's important.
Well, it's important.
No, you don't use it
as an example. I put it to you that it's important, but thank you so much.
You import luxury cars. That's a lot of more money, so leave my tie alone, Harry.
Always a pleasure to have you on the program, Bosin, and that's the much we can take. Thank you so much for joining me on the program, the midweek edition of the program. If you missed today's edition, log on to youtube.com/channelsweb/videos. I'm Harriet Agminyi. Bye-bye.